are now listening to the Life of Produk Podcast.
Yeah, what up, man? It's the boy Product from the Life of Produk Podcast. This is episode 109. Welcome back to the show. Shouts out to the YouTube subscribers. The page is youtube.com/LIfeOfProduk Podcast. That is Produk. We don't spell the word right over here. If you need interviews, sponsorships, or advertising, it is lifeofproduct@gmail or corporate.ent@gmail.com. Shouts out to Tiffany Denise. That is my little sister from another mister. She called in for episode 108, and we rocked out. Y'all showing that episode a lot of love. The numbers are slowly going up, but they're going up. That's all that matters. Today's episode 109. I got Molly Prescott in the building. Welcome to the show, Molly.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. How was traffic this morning?
It was all right. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, then that's,
Bad.
that's great because Charlotte traffic is crazy.
It can be bad on Freedom, but it was good this morning.
And you came from what, Gastonia, right?
Yeah, Mount Holly.
Okay.
Mount Holly, Gastonia.
Mount Holly. It's kind of like the same thing
Yep.
or whatever. Are you
Very
originally from
close.
Mount Holly?
No, I grew up in upstate New York.
Oh, that's right. And I could kind of hear it.
Yep.
You know what? I've been getting New Yorkers on the show. You guys are welcome to come anytime.
Well, thank you.
No problem. Now, what part of upstate New York are you from?
So I'm from more of like Rochester, Corning, all the way up, more that western side of New York where it's real cold.
Yeah,
The
so this
cold
is nothing
Hills
for you.
Valley, that's right.
So how far is that from Canada?
About 3-4 hours.
3-4 hours? You ever went to Canada before?
Oh, yeah, we went to Canada.
I heard good things
19
about Canada,
yeah.
man. Like,
We used to go to Canada and drink at 19 because you could drink over there.
Oh, really?
So you could
I
just
didn't know
cross
that.
the border, yep.
That's how bad are the borderlines? Well, back then.
Went like to get over.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't bad. It wasn't such a huge thing. It was kind of normal.
I heard it wasn't that bad years ago. I don't know about now. No, have you
I
ever?
haven't been in years. So
Have
I
you
don't
ever went
know.
to Niagara Falls?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They say it's better on the Canada side.
That's what I don't know. I think it's all the same. To me, it's all the same.
Because I knew some people from Buffalo and the dude was like, it's trash on outside. And I was
Yeah.
like, is it that bad? He was like, it's that bad.
Yeah.
See, me, I don't have a fear of heights, but being that close where I could just fall over in water, I'm not with it.
Yeah, I mean they have railings. You're pretty safe.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're really
See,
safe. You can go under them and see like all of
really?
the different.
That's kind of I might have to go. But see, the way my life is set up and all the dilemmas I've had, I don't know, man.
Right.
So I might have to.
Don't lean on anything.
Yeah.
Just don't lean.
Give me a virtue
That's
tour.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you were originally from upstate New York. What year did you come to North Carolina?
I came here in 2008. April
Oh, okay.
2008. My
Yeah.
parents moved here. My mom's husband got a job with Ingersoll Rand and Davidson. So we came down here, and they were actually here a few years before I
Mhm.
came down. I was still in upstate New York. And
Yeah.
I was still, I'm a hairdresser by trade, but barber more. So
Yeah.
in the last 15.
Yeah.
I came down here 8 weeks after I had my daughter. So
Oh, wow.
she was 8 weeks. I came in April.
Yeah. So she's born and raised here.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My story's a complicated one.
We're gonna get into that
Yeah,
story.
So no, she's been back and forth for her whole
Mhm.
15 years. She's been
Yeah.
here now. She was here the first 3.5 years of her life, and
Yeah.
now she's been here. It'll be 2 years in December.
Okay,
She's
so
been back full time.
that's interesting. So she got to see kind of both worlds.
She did. She's been raised.
And I
in
think
both
that's
worlds.
cool because it makes her a little more cultured. So she got to see upstate New York. She got to experience North Carolina. She got to see a full 4 seasons because we don't really get a full 4
No, you
seasons
don't.
here.
I'm okay with that. I don't
Yeah.
need the snow. If I never saw snow again, I'd be okay with that. In this winter, I
Yeah.
feel like it's coming
Oh,
quick.
it's definitely
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You know
coming
what?
quick.
I'm cool with the snow. I just don't like the ice.
Yeah, I don't want any.
When
of
those
that.
nor'easters hit and everything freezes and we look like a snow globe, then I'm
Right.
not.
It's
not.
not,
Yeah. But I do like the cold. I do miss that part, but I just don't miss the negative 10-degree weather and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I don't miss any of that wind chill. Like
No.
I've told people, you just don't know what cold is till it goes through your bones.
Yes.
And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm like, you can't.
They don't get
until you
it.
feel
They don't get it.
You
I worked
know what-
outside for years.
That's
and
right.
I used to work at the airport, and working at the airport, it feels 10 degrees less than what
Right.
it actually is. Now, working outside in the cold is one thing, but when it's -5 and it's raining and you
Yeah.
can't feel your fingers, your
Yep.
fingers are wet and cold.
Yep.
It's one thing to be cold, but wet and cold,
Oh,
nah,
yeah.
man.
It's the difference. My
It's-
mom used
yeah.
to take like Wegmans bags,
Mhm.
Walmart bags,
Yeah.
and she'd wrap them around our feet, and then she'd
Yo.
make sure we tucked our socks all the way up in, and then
Yup.
the snow pants went over top of that.
I've been
And
there.
then the boot, yeah. Like she used to say that it took more time for us to get ready than we actually spent.
I remember
outside
those
in the
days when I was a
snow.
kid and I used to hate it. And
Yeah.
then I actually appreciated it as an adult because I was doing
Mhm.
that before I went to work. You know what I mean?
Oh.
But I think people here, there's a luxury in North Carolina that they don't understand that they have.
Oh yeah.
There's a huge, and just the fact that they don't have to look for parking all the time. You pull into
Yeah.
a parking lot, they don't have to deal with alternate side parking. Did you guys have alternate side parking upstate New
See,
York?
Upstate New York, like where I'm from, is
Mhm.
more like Kings Mountain
Oh,
or
okay, yeah.
it's like country. It's
Okay,
very country.
you guys got lucky.
Green grass. No, see, I'm not a
Lucky,
city
man.
girl.
You know, the furthest upstate I went years ago was Newburgh, because my uncle bought a house up there. So us being from Brooklyn, we went upstate. Was like, oh, this is nice. We didn't realize it was nicer.
different.
Where you were
It's
further
not.
up.
Yeah, I never went to New York City. I've been to New York City twice, I think, in my life. And
Really?
one of them was to the train station. One of them was to the airport.
Yeah.
And like I just touched down in the airports.
Yeah.
I never explored. I never went and
Really?
saw anything.
Oh, you
Like,
should
it
go
just
one day.
wasn't.
It's a headache though if you're not you got to be mentally prepared
You know,
for it.
at 39, I'm still not like I have to go up there and see that.
Yeah.
Like I haven't heard enough
Yeah.
good. And then growing
You saw
up
Home
in
Alone enough,
upstate
right?
New York, right? When you live in upstate New York,
Yeah.
everything is very different.
Yes,
So-
but a lot of upstate people say that. Like I met a guy out here.
Yeah.
He's in Lincolnton, and he's from upstate. I can't remember. It was some small town, and he said his family went to New York City once,
Right.
and they got there and left like 2 hours later.
Because it's, to us, you know, New York City is almost like a state all of
Yeah,
itself.
it
It's
is.
not the same.
It
Everybody,
is.
you say New York, and that's what everybody sees as New York City.
Yeah.
New York is a huge state.
It
It's got
is.
the Finger Lakes. It's got
Everything.
peaks, mountains, valleys, hills.
Everything is different, man.
Yeah.
So when you go to the city, I tell people all the time, every borough is different.
Right.
So when people watch TV here or in other states that's not from there, they
Right.
see Manhattan, they see the
Right.
buildings. They don't see Brooklyn. They don't see the Bronx. They don't see Queens. They don't see none of that
Right.
stuff. They don't see Long Island. They don't see upstate. They don't, you know what I mean? Like I went upstate a lot. I went to Jersey at one point for 4 years, and I would have to go upstate like every weekend, every other weekend, and getting upstate from Jersey was way easier than the city.
Yeah.
I mean, 35, 40 minutes, I got to the border right there. It was way easier.
The traffic
But
just
you got to be
crazy.
careful. There's a lot of deer. Like you drive up a upstate highway, upstate New York, and there's dead deer all along it.
Oh, yeah.
All along it. So you got to be really careful. But it's beautiful.
The thing that I always thought when I first moved here that the streets felt smaller, and it was just
Oh,
because
yeah.
there isn't snow removal.
Yeah.
We're used
Yeah.
to that big 5 feet on each side of you while you drive.
Yeah,
because
that's crazy.
where they put the snow.
Yeah, and you know what I like about out here too? Insurance is cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's way cheaper. Like
Well, yeah, less
Yeah.
deer.
less there and just less accidents. Well, there are accidents. Let me not say that.
Right? Don't say that.
Yeah,
That's a little too far.
there's a lot of senseless accidents out here.
Right.
People just not paying attention and looking
Right.
at you and they'll hit somebody. You know, I seen an accident on 85 2 years ago, and there was a bus.
Oh, wow.
A bus hit somebody.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I hope that person they were all right. I hope they got paid though. That's not a payday I want.
Right, but you're like, how do you do that?
Yeah. So what? Okay, so your parents brought you down here, and
Uh-huh.
your parents came in. That was 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When you got here, what was your goal? Your course of action once you got here? Did you understand where you were at in life? What was it?
Oh,
Okay.
No. I mean, that was the start of. I mean, I was young and wild.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Mhm.
I had Sophie at 24. So
Mhm.
2 days after my 24th birthday.
Yeah.
Her dad was 20 years older than I was.
Uh-huh.
I was partying, raising hell.
Yeah.
I wasn't living correctly. Not
Yes.
even a little bit. You know, he was a nightmare. He was a nightmare from
Ooh,
day one, and
yeah.
he has proved to be the biggest
Wow.
regret in my life. I
Mhm.
love my daughter. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when you talk about failure
Yeah.
of picking a person to be
Oh.
a parent, you want to talk about failure.
Well, you preach it to the choir. We could go. We could talk
Failure.
about that all day.
You know, I lost custody of her when she was 3.5 years old to
Mm.
him, and I was wild. You know,
Yeah.
At one point
Yeah.
I was driving back and forth from here to New York
Mhm.
to meet him halfway. New York State had taken jurisdiction. It was just a mess.
Yeah. And once the courts get involved, this is man, it's
well,
nasty.
My biggest mistake, I went and got put on Xanax,
Mm.
benzos.
Yeah.
So I was so anxious. You want to talk about anxious?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
You know, my life was it was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
From I
Mhm.
had her and
Mhm.
thought, everything. And of course I partied,
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And
But partying once you're stressed out hits different.
it's a different.
It's a different type of party.
Yeah.
Now you got a reason to party.
Well,
Yeah.
it was just bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't even. It was just life, and it just kept
Mhm.
taking.
Yeah.
The pressure and
Mhm.
the anxiety and the fear.
Yeah.
He was 20 years older than I am. He was,
Mhm.
I think about it now.
Yeah.
I met him. I was
Mhm.
21, and
Mhm.
he was almost 40. So
That-
he's
That's a
19
big
years older
gap.
than I am, and then I turned 22
Yeah.
in February after he turned 40.
That is a huge gap.
And it's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And you don't,
Hold on for that second. We gotta pay these bills real quick. We're gonna come right back to that. Shouts out to Anchor FM, which is Spotify for podcasts. Shouts out to the new YouTube subscribers. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Pick your poisons. The Life of Product Podcast, episode 109. We will be right back with the second part of the show. Gia, what up, man? It's the boy Product. We're now back to the Life of Product Podcast, episode 109. I got Molly Prescott on the show with me. Molly has a very unique story, and she is a pillar in the community who is building now. But sometimes it takes us to go through things, and we got to jump over mountains to get there. So, 2008, you moved to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. You had your daughter. She was 8 weeks old, two months old, and the back and forth. But the father it got kind of crazy.
I mean, it got super complicated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it started as I was down here. I think my mom has an email where he said that if we give him $200,000, he would just leave us alone.
Wow.
And I think my mom still has that email. I think it's somewhere in that old AOL account.
You say you got mail.
All the way down. He was going to torture me. It was game on at that point. Now I had a baby.
Yeah.
People don't realize how powerful that is. And I was so young and I was so dumb. I can remember this huge fight with my mom that we had because I was getting ready to leave and take Sophie to Florida.
Wow.
And she was madder than all hell because I was going with him.
Yeah.
And, she ended up being completely right.
Time. Parents, they tend to be right and we don't see it till years later, man.
No, the things I put that poor woman through, if she listens to this, she'll be like, y'all don't even know.
Yep.
And she's northern, very brash, tough love.
Yep.
Not really taking your crap.
Yep. But I like that though.
She's my biggest
I
friend.
love that. Yeah.
If she tells me, I should have called her and asked about my outfit, but I didn't.
She would have been brutally honest.
It went downhill quick.
Yeah.
Once he had his claws in me. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And it started there, and by the time I got to June of 2011, I mean, it had gone to crazy.
And that's 3 years of
it's been
a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot can happen. A lot can happen in a year. So just imagine people like what can happen in 3 months.
And the back and forth and the absolute torture and text message. We're talking hundreds a day. I would have paragraphs from this man.
And that was back then. So that was like the flip phone. So
that's right. That's
when you got to hit the number 3 times for just, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
JKL.
Yep,
that's a lot.
That's
a lot.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
that
man. Your text message skills had to be up to par to do that.
Yeah, my first Facebook picture was in that apartment. I think it was on the balcony of this apartment I lived in Cornelius.
Wow.
But it's, a lot had happened. A lot had happened, and that June I went on Xanax.
Wow.
I remember going to the doctors and thinking, I can't take anymore. I can't. I'm so anxious. I'm going back and forth to New York.
Yeah.
I'm going to court. I'm working full time. I worked for the Sport Clips at that time up in Birkdale Village in Huntersville.
Yeah.
Life was it was wild. It was a experience that I had never experienced before.
And being so young, you were in your 20s. When a man 20 years older, and a lot of men do this, right? And they get in their 40s and they try to live on their second life.
Yeah.
And they get with younger girls and things like that, but that's not really the way to go.
Well, the thing that I've learned is it's the mentality.
Yes, because a lot of men haven't grown up by that time.
Correct. And the things he knew that I just didn't know, I was so easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And, it turned out to be my biggest mistake. That man tortured me from the jump. Back then I was doing a lot of pills. I was eating a lot of pills. And then it just spiraled.
Yeah.
It was like a ball that went rolling downhill. And the next thing you know, I was in this crappy relationship with a man.
Yeah.
I had gotten into a fight with him. Sophie was with my parents for the weekend. I ended up in jail. I hit him so hard, and it was like a ball that started rolling.
We all have been down for the weekend.
Oh yeah, and you have to remember at this point, I'm still a hairdresser, so barbering has been my actual my solid foundation.
Yeah, and that brings a lot of money too. And that's another thing too. When you get caught up in streets, whether it's alcohol, drugs, running around, but you have a solid source of income, that's a bad combination too, because now you got access to that whenever you want, and it can affect your. Did it at any point? Did it affect your talent or your craft at any point?
I mean, I think for a while there, I felt like I couldn't cut hair unless I was, feeling something.
Yes.
And that's where, what people don't realize about addiction is that it's something deep rooted in you. It's not something that the misconception, let's go back. The misconception is that people who are addicted to something are these junkies and they're this and they're that.
It's deeper than that.
The difference is you can be addicted to alcohol, you can be addicted to food, you can be addicted to sex, you can be addicted to gambling, you can be addicted to all of these things. But the light that you put on it when somebody's addicted to a substance is a lot different.
It is.
So when I got like that, the judgment came and I had to do a lot of fighting and pushing and pulling. And, I had to get myself out of a situation that I had now gotten myself into. And now I'm in a stigma on top of it.
Yeah.
So I'm a woman. I've lost custody of my daughter. I was on a substance.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that substance was given to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
It didn't.
Because
they don't look at them as they're not the drug dealer.
Right.
They're the prescriber.
They would say, you couldn't stop because of Sophie.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. There was something in me that had been so shattered. And until I worked through it and until I got to that place where I was like, no, I want better. I can't live on these streets. I'm not made for this.
Yeah.
If you look at me, I have this appearance.
Yeah.
I had this appearance on the drugs, on the streets. I still had my hair done, my makeup on. There was a point where I had my coffee pot with me all the time, and people made funny about it. I still had a coffee cup in my hand. It's like some things never change, but I've learned through that. Yes. It's a wild journey.
It is. When you talk about being like the deep rooted part of it, when I was growing up, my mother, she was an alcoholic. She used to drink a lot, right? And I commend her because, before she passed away, we spoke a lot about it. And she had kicked the habit years before that. She never went to rehab or anything like that. I didn't understand it. But as, I got older and I know this stuff and we started talking, my mother, she was raised in the projects. My grandfather was never home. It was, my grandmother had like 11 kids. My grandfather had like 11, 12 kids. It was kids raising kids. Now you got all these kids raising kids. They in the middle of the hood. They're in Brooklyn where everything is lit, is popping. And she dealt with a lot of things. My grandmother took a lot of anger out on her and would beat on her a lot when she was younger because she was closer to my grandfather. Then my grandmother, I love my grandmother, may she rest in peace, but she was like a little overly religious and fanatical and would let her sons get away with things, but she would be more harder on the girls. And that's another thing that happens in the community nobody talk about and stuff like that. So after us, after I got old and I saw things for what it was and we spoke more about it, I understood it. Right. I didn't understand it growing up. I never judged her, but I understood it. Yeah, I get it now.
There's a lot of things I worry about that with Sophie, because I've had to be very transparent with my daughter.
You have to.
My daughter was taken away at 3.5. And when I say that her dad put me through hell, I'm talking I went to court 3 times a year for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And when people, I actually was thinking about this last night. I can remember. So I'm at my height of my career at Store Clips. I am running a store that's doing almost $20,000 a week and $25 haircuts. This is
So you guys cutting.
I think I had at that point 13 women underneath me. And I remember having to be in a manager meeting. And it was here in Charlotte. And I ended up going to McCoy's. And I remember having to leave that meeting that I'm in. I'm in a meeting with, I think at that point it was 50 other managers of the state of North Carolina. And, people who are these, area developers and people who are high in this company that I'm working for. And I'm like a top producing, store. And I'm, they've got me up here kind of on a pedestal making my head big.
Yeah.
Well, I had court, and when I tell you that this man had me in court 3 times a year, anytime that he thought I was getting a promotion, he would come after me.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember losing in court that day. So in one particular day, I had court. I'm in a manager meeting. I'm at the height of my career. My store's doing phenomenal. I start drinking Red Bull, or not Red Bull, cinnamon vodka.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about. I forgot. I know what you.
Yep.
I know the bottle. Fireball. There we go. It was on the tip of my tongue. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that was like all of that stuff came out.
Yeah.
All of that pent up anger, all of that.
Yeah.
And, I can remember how that impacted my life after that. The perception of me, people had no idea what I was really going through.
People don't know
what court feels like every time you turn around.
Court is scary.
Man, it was so wild. It was just wild.
Wild is an understatement, right?
Yeah, and you just keep going, and you're trying to figure out how to stay on top and how to keep getting to the next level.
Yeah.
Because every time I turned around, I had somebody else trying to knock me over.
Yep.
If it wasn't Sophie's dad, it was another hairdresser,
Mm-hmm.
The big thing always used to be beat Molly's store.
Wow,
but I did things that were intentional. My hair was done every day. My makeup was on.
Mm-hmm.
I wore lipstick every day.
Yeah.
I had a team that was expected to be the certain thing because that's what produced the money.
That's right.
I was known as the mob boss because I was a little bit I was a little brash. It was like, we're trying to do something here. If you want to be a fully booked stylist, you want men to sit in the waiting room, wait for you.
Yep.
This is what it looks like.
Exactly.
I had followed people who taught me, and I just knew that because I had been so low, I knew I had to figure out how to get back up.
Hold that thought. And I like what you said, how to get back up. We're going to talk about that in the third part of the show. It's the Life of Produk Podcast, episode 109. I got Molly Prescott on the show with me. We'll be right back. Yeah, what up, man? It's the boy Produk. We're now back with the Life of Produk Podcast, episode 109. I got Molly Prescott in the building, and she has an incredible story. Now, you were the Tony Soprano over there. You was up there, and they were trying to bring you down.
I mean, it wasn't that they were trying to bring me down.
Uh-huh.
I was self-sabotaging because I had so much going on. That I was trying to be what was expected. And then I was trying to get my daughter back because I was never going to allow what I had done that one time dictate her path.
Yes.
And, that's what had kind of happened. Her father had tried to keep her from me. I had all that going on. I was still drinking.
Yeah.
I was wild. I chose relationships that were bad for me. And I had to figure out how to fight through all this to get to a different place.
Yeah. When you're in that place, it's crazy as far as like negativity, how it gravitates towards you. It pulls you like in a whirlwind, whether it's negative friendships, negative relationships too. Like once you're like here and you got that cloud over you, it all comes rushing in like a tidal wave.
It does.
And it's like you have to ask yourself, how can I get away from this?
That's right. How can I get out of it?
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. That was the thing. The only thing that I knew that I had control of was going to work every day, getting up, putting my hair on, putting my hair on, doing my hair, putting my makeup on, doing the next right thing. I had learned a lot about, spiritual principles, and I had learned about doing the next right thing because I had been so low. I had been homeless in Atlanta. I'd lost custody of my daughter. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a window to throw it out of. I've always said over the years, I lost my house, my car, my kid, my job. Like I lost everything. When you talk about
that's everything.
All the way down
that's
there,
down, yeah.
Now I had this opportunity to do it all over again, and I was going to do it right.
Yes.
So I was going to be a leader. I wanted to figure out how to help people. I wanted to figure out where I could go, how I could help people. And hair and barbering has been that anchor that's kept me grounded. No matter what I did, I could always go and cut hair.
Yeah.
There was a point in time my hands shook for coming off the Xanax so bad that I couldn't hold my clippers.
Wow.
You want to talk about how that feels?
That's
somebody who was cut. So at that point in time, I had cut hair. I'm at 20 years this year. So back then, that was 11 years ago. So I was 10 years in.
Yeah.
And you want to tell this person that I couldn't hold my clippers straight. People were like, the doctors, they didn't know because I was in rehab. I had a seizure coming off from him, So it was like, they didn't know if I did any damage. But I knew that when I finally got to that place, all of that stuff that I'd been through, there was reason for it. Now I'm helping women become women. I'm teaching hairdressers that having your hair done and your makeup on is important. Having conversations with people, a consultation in a barbershop, asking a man how he wants his haircut.
Yeah. Because It is, because we take it just as serious as women.
Yeah, but people think that men's hair is easier because there's less hair. You're wrong. You need to flip that around now.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It's harder because there's less hair. If I mess that up, there's nowhere to go.
There's not.
There's nowhere to go. You know, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
This has been a wild journey where you just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, people always want to know how you do it. You just keep doing the next right thing. Yeah. It's very easy.
Yeah. You found your purpose. It's like you found your purpose in life.
I don't know if I'm there yet.
But you're definitely on the way, though.
I'm on the way.
You're definitely on the way. Being on the way to finding your purpose, because I've had things I've done and I didn't know that's what I was supposed to do, but I did it anyway because it felt right, and like a higher calling was telling me do it. Yeah. You know, just like with podcasting. Like before I got into podcasting, my mom's was staying with me when I was taking care of her before she died, and she was like, she's in my kitchen, and I got home from work one day. She's like, you should do podcasting. And I was like, what? Then my son said something to me later, and I was like, have you been talking to your grandmother? Because both of y'all telling me, yeah, I should do it. So a few months after, I was just doing my research, like what distributor I'm gonna go with, how I'm gonna do it, my setup, and then I did it. And then it like I had I would say the first 5 to 10 episodes was me just figuring out the technicality part, because I was already doing music. I knew about that. Talking wasn't the problem. It was just the format of it. And once I got it,
that people don't know about.
They don't understand it,
unless they put it in. See, I've learned that you don't understand it until you put in the work.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I get a lot of flack because there's a lot of people that are like,
yeah.
You know why? Because I'm not gonna let you sabotage yourself.
Exactly.
You want people to look at you crazy and not take you seriously. Don't be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Don't do your makeup. Don't do your hair. Don't come to work on time.
Yeah.
Don't do your best.
Yeah.
All of those things play into it.
Yeah.
Everything that you do is a public display of how you think about yourself.
It is.
So if you want to make it to the next level, you need to act like you're already on the next
Thank you
level.
for saying that, because a lot of people don't realize if I walk into your business, if I usually do my own beard, right? But I used to go to the barbershop heavily. If I walk in the barbershop, I'm not gonna go to the barber that just looked like he woke up, got out of bed, and came to work. I'm not doing that.
That's right.
I am not doing that.
People,
You're
a barber. You're in the business of making men feel good about themselves.
Yes.
You're a hairstylist. You're a braider. You're a makeup artist.
Yes.
There's so many different entities of this humongous circumference that I decided to jump in the middle.
Exactly.
You're not going to go to the one that looks like
I'm not.
So this woman who was my boss for many, many years, she used to say, do not come in this salon looking like you've been rode hard and put away wet. And you know what? That's the truth, though. When you look at somebody, you're like, did you look in the mirror before you came?
Obviously, they didn't. They
didn't.
didn't.
And I'm trying to get my daughter to understand that. I'm trying.
Yeah.
You have to look the part.
Yes.
And play the part before you get the part.
These kids nowadays don't get that.
No,
these kids
want me to give it to them.
They want to wear hoodies in the summer, and they want to wear pajamas smack in the middle, went into the mall and out to eat, and it don't work like that.
I made my daughter put on a real bra, and I mean a real bra. Like she had a sports bra, and I was like, no, Sophie. A real bra, like that thing that I made you, I bought you. It looks
there
like
you go.
Two.
Yeah, exactly. But these kids don't get it, and like I was telling my sons, I said representation is a big thing, right? I said sometimes your first chance of how you represent yourself is your only one. You're not going to get another one if people don't feel like you represented yourself, right? Now, a lot of people watching and listening don't understand, right? There might be a person that got an opportunity and they didn't deserve it, but they represented themselves, right? They were dressed right, they smelled right, they were groomed right, they seemed to know what they were talking about, and then once they got in that position, they learned what they thought they were talking about, and now they went further.
I did that in Atlanta, so I got a good story for that one too. I was in Atlanta. We're talking, I had left here, and I didn't have anything. We're not talking shoes, makeup, jewelry, nothing. I had on like a pair of ballet flats. And this is in February. So let's think about that. No socks, no shoes.
Nothing.
I end up in Atlanta. That's a whole nother story. We can get into that another day.
Yeah.
So
ATL is scary.
So anyway, I'm homeless in Atlanta. Well, I end up with this opportunity to go and work at P.F. Chang's at Perimeter Mall.
Yeah.
I can remember. I had no underwear on, a bra on that was literally given to me in a homeless shelter, a pair of sandals that were about broken, and a sundress. And it's hot. But I had this opportunity, and I had to have this opportunity. I needed the money.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking, you can live in a homeless shelter that doesn't let you work, or you can go to a rehab center like a halfway house.
Yeah.
They don't let you work either. They want you up at 5 a.m. doing dances and exercising and praising the Lord and doing some step work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, mind you, hairdresser, all these years.
Yeah.
So this guy ends up having an in. He was a dishwasher at Chang's, and he's like, well, they need people.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a hot mess right now. We're talking hot mess. Like, you can't get more hot mess than I am. You cannot get more hot mess than
Pot is hot.
You know?
Yeah.
And I talked my way into that job, and I got that job. And I stayed at that job all the way up until I left Atlanta in August to come back to Sport Clips after I.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking. That's what I try to give people. I talked my way based upon my looks, my way I held myself, the confidence I had in myself. I knew that I had to get to the next level, and I knew that was going to be me. I mean, I worked at a hotel by the Brave Stadium. You want to talk about the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life?
Is that the one where if you're on the side of the Brave Stadium is right there?
No,
there's
so
two of them.
Yeah, so if you're at the back side of the old Brave Stadium,
not
the new one.
Okay.
The old one. We're talking. This is in the middle of the hood.
Yeah,
and I remember where.
Okay, so that was the old one. Yeah.
I got myself that job with.
Yeah.
And I'm walking down, and these men are just hollering at me. They're screaming. You got a picture. I mean, I'm 50 pounds skinnier, long blonde hair. I was a hot mess back then. I was beautiful. Number one was the first issue.
Yeah.
Number two, I knew it, and number three, I was going to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And I remember this guy. I'm talking. We're walking through the scare, and if people know the old Brave Stadium, it was like the Brave Stadium, the hotels. There was like a business center.
Yeah.
And then right here, I mean, this was the hood. We're talking one of the worst hoods you'd ever been in.
Yeah.
They would rob people, and you heard all that stuff.
Yeah.
And one guy told me, he says, when you walk through that hood, you smile, you keep your head up, and you just keep going. You don't look down. Don't break. Nothing. Don't break nothing.
Nothing.
You just smile, and you keep moving, and they won't mess with you.
And they won't mess. That's kind of how it is.
It is. And you know that, and I've kept that piece of advice, and I tell people that all the time.
You know what? Hold that thought. We're gonna come right back. It's the Life of Produk Podcast, episode 109. We got Molly Prescott on the show. We are dropping knowledge. We are dropping motivation for you guys. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Yeah, what up, man? It's the boy Produk. We're now back with the Life of Produk Podcast, episode 109. Molly Prescott on the show. We just established that Atlanta could be a scary place. Atlanta could get a little crazy. So fast forward, after all of that happened, and you have been able to bounce back, get back on your feet. You now have your own shop.
I do.
And what's the name of it?
It's called Faded Cuts and Shaves. You can find Faded Cuts and Shaves on Facebook, Instagram. TikTok, it's Molly Fades All Day. I actually go by my own personal name on TikTok. But I mean, I love hair. And, I worked for people for a really long time, and the opportunity just kind of presented itself. It is not something that I was like out looking for.
It just happened.
Yeah. My boyfriend and I, we went to Webb's Custom Kitchen. He had planned like a Valentine's Day dinner at Webb's. And Webb's is very fancy. It's a fancy restaurant. It's 5-star dining. It's just a really nice place. So while we were waiting for our table, we had a late reservation because we both worked till 7:30, 8 o'clock. So we get there, and next door, there's a barber shop next door. And I kind of peek in the window, and I want everybody to keep in mind, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. We're not talking I have money in savings. We're not talking I have anybody giving me any money. None of this, So I kind of peek in, and, it's a dream. I'm like, maybe I'll call. So I kept that phone number and that picture in my phone February and all of March. And I think first week of April. If I'm remembering correctly, I mean, I'd have to go back and do some research, but I feel like it was like April-ish. I pick up the phone and I call this landlord owner because he's a commercial guy. All he does is, the commercial properties. He rents them out and stuff. And I pick the phone up, and he tells me in that moment that he's getting ready to go on vacation. He's got 2 other people that are interested in it. They're going to come and talk to it. So it doesn't sound like, it's not likely that I'm going to get this. It's already too far away. Well, lo and behold, middle of May, beginning of May, he calls me back and says, neither of those people worked out. I'm not getting into any details. And
doesn't matter.
So he says, can you meet me? And I was like, well, this is like, I think it was probably a Tuesday or Wednesday. And by that point, I'm already back to work. So I was like, I can meet you next Wednesday or something. So we planned to meet, and this man and I sat in the barbershop 2 hours.
Wow.
Talking about the barbershop, talking about all my experience with sport clips, talking about all the things I had accomplished within that franchise. That's dope. Talking about life, talking about how things flow. I told him, I'm like, I don't have any money. Like, my credit's not that good. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I think this is the right fit for me. I'm going to have to pull some strings. I'm going to have to make some phone calls. Yeah. And prior to this, getting back to what we talked about first chances and the way you look and the way you present yourself. Yeah. That's what I had done here. Yeah. I don't have. So prior to this, I had called people that I know. So we're talking people who own businesses, people who have businesses already established in Charlotte, people that I know through cutting hair. I cut their hair, and they're my friends. I've cut their hair for, some of them 10 years. Yeah. And I was like, well, can you guys come help me? I don't want to screw up on this lease agreement. I want to make sure that I'm getting the right terms. Well, lo and behold, one of my clients is like, you know what, Molly, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. And
That's great. That's great.
You can pay me back, when I signed an agreement.
That's great.
So we went in there, and his team of people, I'm not going to throw him out there because I don't know if he wants.
No, it's all good. But, shouts out to him, though.
It's like he came in and he helped with the stuff, and he's given me this opportunity. Yeah. Now I can't screw up this opportunity. So, I own this barbershop. It's been a struggle. Yeah. People I believe it. Think that once you get in the building, it's
no, it's hard.
We're just getting going.
You as an entrepreneur, you're working double than a person that just clocks in and works a 9 to 5.
I just didn't realize how much it's the money. Yeah. People are like, as long as you have this, and this. No, like, it's hard. This is hard work. Yeah, it is. I'm doing a beard contest. We've had
I saw that. I wanted to ask you about that.
We had a back to school fundraiser. Yeah. What you can. Like, we've done all these things to help, and I have a story in the paper, and it's a lot of vulnerability.
But the community work that you're doing is also going to help fuel it. It shows people that your involvement is golden, and it shows people that you really are about that. Like, you're not just, because people don't like new businesses coming into a community that just come in and they don't, hey, how you doing? They don't like that. They want you to introduce yourself.
No, you know what I'm saying? I embarrassed myself at city council across the street in the city of Gastonia. I called him congressman. My mom's like, you really leveled up, this small town city council in Gastonia. You put them up in D.C. with all the congressmen.
That's funny.
I was like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. But you recently, I believe, were with the mayor of Gastonia. Yeah. I can't remember. What's his name? I forgot.
His name is Walker Reed.
Walker. Okay. Now, how did that go?
We were just talking about the beard contest. When I first moved in, I know, back to those connections that I was given by the grace of God, I was given his phone number by another business owner, a prominent business owner in that area, who's also helping me. He said, just call the mayor, see what's going on. And then I talked to him that time, and then I went over to city council, and there's, the public expression part of city council where everybody can kind of talk. Yeah. And I just went up there and embarrassed myself and said, hey, I'm Molly across the street, like, I feel like I'm always, you're just putting yourself out there. Like, if you want something better, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to embarrass yourself.
This is true.
I stand outside and I'm handing coupons out. And the funny part is, in South Charlotte, I don't worry about clientele. Why? Because I've been there so long. Yeah. When you move 30 miles, it's not really 30 miles. It's probably like 19 or 20 miles. But that's 85. So 85 is a B. I don't know if I can say that swear word. It's bad. You never know what 85 is going to look like.
Yeah, 85 is different. It's like a Gemini. It's different. You know what I'm saying?
You never know. Yeah. So, you could be there in 15, 20 minutes. Or it's an hour for you to get up.
Yeah. And every part of 85 is different. Yeah. Like, the Kings Mountain side, it's not gonna be like the side like right here. It's not. It's different.
Yeah, that's why So a lot of the clientele that I'm getting is gonna be like Kings Mountain, Shelby, Lincolnton, Denver. Because it's the easier way to come.
But it's great though you in that area though, because I don't know what the barbershops are like over there. But to bring like the talent and the level of skill that you have to that area, it might have been something that they needed.
Well, and it's exciting. I had a guy come in. I think it was last Saturday. He's like, I read all the reviews and talked to people, and you're the best in this
Yeah,
area.
word.
And historic downtown Gastonia is coming up. It's, you know, like they're trying to make it big with bars and breweries. And there's a place called the Rooster. They have like live music, and they have like bands, and they have open mic night.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got Webb's on the other side, and then you've got the cigar bar.
I didn't know that.
Corner. There's
really?
a little corner store.
Like
you can drink in that area.
Yeah.
So you can kind of
that's kind of cool.
You can walk through it, you know.
Yeah.
And you can actually go, you know, to the different locations. Like it's just they're really trying to make it like an area for people to gather.
But they should though, because it needs it.
That's what I think North Carolina is trying to do is keep people kind of where they can, you know, minimize drunk driving, minimize stuff like that. If you have a place for people to gather, they don't have to go as far. Yeah. You know, it's a new life for me.
That's
and,
great.
You know,
Congratulations.
I've made it here, and we are here. We have arrived, and we're not going to stop. And
That's
I'm gonna
right.
keep going.
It's up from here.
You know, it is. It's going to be great. You know, I've always cut hair. That's what I'm good at. I've based my whole life and my foundation on what I know that I'm good at. You know, my grandma, I took her for my state test, and she always used to tell people she teased and she teased and she teased, and it was because I was going to make sure that it was right.
That's right.
You know, when somebody gives you instructions and they're telling you how to do it, I always tell people, you know, my tone can sometimes be off. My personality is very, very, very strong. I come off, I can control a room with my energy.
Yeah.
And people, you know, they're like, oh,
you
know? And I'm like, listen to what I'm saying, because what I'm giving you are nuggets on how you survive in this life.
That's right.
I didn't make it by being soft and sweet. And, you know, the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes when we have to look at ourselves, and that's what I learned. I had to look at me.
Yes.
And when I talk about me, I had to think about why I had a baby with a man 20 years older. I had to think about how I ended up on those Xanaxes. I had to think about how I ended up in the streets of Atlanta. About how I made these decisions to get me here. Were they great decisions? No. But you know what?
They had to happen though.
Look
where we at.
Because I am who I am.
Exactly.
I am more powerful now.
That's right.
I am more unbreakable now.
That's
and
right.
I dated a guy for a long time, and he'd say, I don't worry about you. Why? Because you're unbreakable.
That's right.
You can't be broken. You're not going to let anybody break you.
Facts.
They think that you're weak.
Yeah.
You're going to show them what weak does not really.
You know, the people that a lot of weak people, they try to equate their weakness and push it off on other people, but you can't do that. You can't, just like how you say you come off brash and things like that. Don't look at it as you're coming off brash. If you come off aggressive, that means you're talking with passion and you're trying to direct that person the right way so they don't make the same mistakes as you did. Because I tend to do that to people sometimes, and they'll be looking at me like, wait, calm down. I'm not going to calm down, because if you took the liberty to ask me something, I'm going to take the liberty to give it to you the real way, because if I don't give it to you the real way, life going to do it. Yeah. So you rather me tell it to you verbally or life whoop you out. You got a choice.
Well, you know, it's the ones I've noticed that you can't let people decide. You know, I always. Yeah. You can't let people decide who you are, what you are. You know, Wendy actually said that to me. She said, I would have never known everything you've been through by looking at you.
I know. I wouldn't have either.
You know, there's a picture. Maybe I'll bust out some pictures if people like my story, but you know, like there's this picture. I mean, I look like.
Oh wow.
Like, I look bad.
And I would have never been able to tell.
You have to grow and you have to put yourself back together and do the things that you know are the right thing, and then the other things are going to lead you to other right things.
I'm glad you said that. We got to wrap it.
It's that.
We got to wrap the show up. Yeah. But I thank you for coming through, because your story has been amazing, and a lot of people listen to my show now, and I'm really hoping that they're able to take something from it and really apply it to themselves. But do you have any final thoughts?
You know, just do what you know is right. You know, and if you don't know what's right, and there's a quote somewhere that says, do your best until you know better.
There you go.
And then once you know better, do better.
There you go.
Know, that's kind of like how I've lived my life. Like, once you know what you're doing, do better than that.
There you go.
Once you know better than that, keep going, and you're going to get to where you want to go.
I wholeheartedly support that.
Not everybody has to own a business. Not everybody has to have material. There's people who are content with simplicity. Yeah. And sometimes you have to remember that it just is what it is.
There you go.
Quit worrying
Simplicity is key sometimes to a lot of people, man. And I want y'all to understand it. It's the Boy Product, Life of Produk Podcast. Molly Prescott on the show. This is episode 109. You can catch it in Gastonia on, what is it, South Street?
It's 192 South Street, Gastonia, North Carolina. And follow Molly Fades all day and come check out the shop and come eat and hang out.
Come hang out with it. Come get your beard done. You know what I mean? They're having a beard. When is the beard competition?
So the beard competition is going to start November 1st, and then it'll be entry forms. You'll be able to go to a few different locations to enter. And, we're going to crown Gaston County's King of Beard or Beard Championship, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a good time.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Keep me posted. I'm going to pull up for that.
Yeah, and definitely don't. It's not all about length, gentlemen. Like, my beard isn't that long. Yeah. No, a good quality beard.
Exactly.
Is a beard. Is it healthy? Is it strong?
Exactly.
Or, does it fit your personality? Or your line straight?
Yeah.
There's more to a beard than length.
Absolutely. It's the Boy Product.
Molly, have you there. See?
Molly Prescott came through. Y'all better go to the beard competition. Molly's going to plug me in with the mirror. I'm throwing that out there. We're going to manifest this. The Boy Product, episode 109. I'm out, baby. Yeah.
You are now listening to the Life of Produk Podcast.